Growing up, I never thought about the priesthood, never wanted to be a priest. I kind of thought you had to be boring and kind of lonely to be a priest. The first time I really liked a priest or thought he was a normal guy was when Monsignor Richter came right after he was ordained when I was a second grader. And I remember him coming into the classroom and bringing his missing thumb into the classroom. And as a second grader, I kind of thought that was pretty cool, or just kind of a different thing because I knew we grew up on a farm. It was kind of interesting for me, and it was kind of the first time of seeing a priest that I thought was normal. But it wasn't until I went to high school where things started to develop, is when I went to Mr. Ruggles' first year at St. Mary's, where he taught our freshman religion class. And it was the first time I really got a hold of a teacher and really understood what he was saying, because he was also the football coach. So he would yell at me in the classroom and then yell at me on the football field, and it kind of got me to understand that this guy's serious, that this stuff isn't just make-believe, and he was convicted, he was excited about it. And then I kind of realized during that time that he had something that I didn't have, that he was excited about something and I wasn't very excited about a whole lot, except for sports and girls, I guess. Then my junior year, Jerome Richter came up to me and said I should join the Knights of Virtue. It's a kind of I wouldn't say it's a youth group, but it's kind of like a men's youth group. It was only guys that got together, and we'd sit in his garage and talk about different virtues and things like that, and then go out to the Richter farm and go shoot shotguns and paintball and have bonfires, things like that, basically. And it was just very enjoyable, and it was all guys, so it was easy to talk about certain things with Mr. Richter. And then Father Waltz came out one year when he was the chaplain. I didn't make the decision yet that I wanted to be Catholic. It was still, I'm just kind of going along, going with the flow of things. And then I started dating a girl my junior year, and she was a very good girl, and she kind of put me on the right path, I would say, looking back at it now. And then that relationship lasted about 2 years into my freshman year of college. But during that time, we took a marriage and family class at St. Mary's, and Mr. Ruggles laid down what the church teaches on the faith and about marriage and relationships and kids and all those things. And it kind of shocked me, because I realized that I should be living my life in a different way, and that it just kind of blew my mind. It kind of got me very excited about getting married someday, and wanting to have a big family and wanting to be faithful. I went to Rome after our senior year at St. Mary's. My class went, and I remember being there, just seeing the priests around each other and how normal they were, that they were good men, and that they could laugh at each other, make fun of each other, but then yell at each other, all those sorts of things. And it was just kind of it was a normal thing for me. And most people don't get an opportunity to spend 2 weeks around 3 priests. I mean, the most they get to spend time around a priest sometimes is maybe the priest comes over for dinner, or they just see him preaching or hear him in the confessional. When we were in Rome, we went to this adoration chapel. And I remember kneeling down, and for a split second, I remember thinking, should I join the seminary, or am I called to be a priest? And then about a second later, I dismissed that whole thought, because I thought, well, I'm going to get married, and the girl that I was dating, I was hoping to get married to her one day. It was kind of the first time that I prayed on my own, that I decided to pray on my own. And we'd go into all these beautiful churches, and I didn't know what to do, but my natural instinct was, okay, I'm going to just pray a decade of the Rosary. And how much that changed my prayer life, and how the Rosary has been important to me ever since, basically. And I remember meeting my buddy from high school, Colin Englehart, and we were sitting in his car in Bismarck over a break, and he said, I'm going to adoration now. And I'm like, why are you going to adoration? This was right before college started, and I was kind of shocked by that, but it was a huge moment for me, because I realized, wait, my buddy, who's been my best friend ever since, is starting to go to adoration, and I hated adoration, but for some reason, once again, I decided, well, maybe I should give it a try again. Even though I went for 5 minutes when I was in Rome, but I decided to go on my own, actually. And that was just kind of a huge moment of consolation being there, of basically relating to God all the things that I've been thinking about, or all the things that have been weighing on me, I guess, and then going to confession, and then going to Mass, and all those things. So it was just kind of a slow development of how God was working in me. All of a sudden, I kind of realized that I had to make a choice of, am I going to be Catholic, or is this just going to be something that my parents did? I know everything that's true in the Catholic faith. I was taught it at St. Mary's, had great examples, but it was kind of coming down to, I have to make the choice of if I'm going to be Catholic and practicing. I've never had those big moments, those big signs. It's been basically people coming into my life, and good people that I've been surrounded by my whole life that have really made a huge difference. That's really kind of been great examples for me, that I've been encouraged to be more like them and to grow in virtues like that they had. And I remember sitting in the chapel at the Newman Center at UND and thinking about the priesthood just a little bit, and one of my classmates came into the church and said, "Oh, I think you should be a priest." And I still didn't really want to do it. I didn't want to be a priest, but I knew that there was some desire that God had for me to be, or at least join the seminary. So I still didn't want it, and my girlfriend and I eventually broke up during that first year. And then the priest at the Newman Center asked me to go to a seminary visit, and I agreed to go along. I don't know, once again, I don't know why I said yes to all these things throughout my life, but I decided to go. I had a tough time there because I didn't want to be a priest, and I would have rather spent the weekend back at UND on the campus doing other things, and I didn't want to be there. And so I left, and I figured, oh well, I'm not called to be a priest. This is great. I don't have to worry about this anymore. And then another friend of mine from high school would call me quite often and say, "Hey, we're going to visit a different seminary in St. Paul." And I said, "No, I'm not going to go. Why would I go? I already know that I'm not called to be a priest or called to go to the seminary." Well, the week before he called me again, and once again, I agreed for some reason. I don't know why. But there was a few talks in there that kind of struck a chord with me. I didn't want to be that 40-year-old that sits down the road and says, well, I should have gave the priesthood or the seminary a try, but now I have a wife and 5 kids, and have that kind of weigh on me. So I figured, what's 1 year now? It's not going to be that big of a deal. And so I talked to Monsignor Richter, who was the vocation director at the time, and I basically went into his office and told him everything, and hoping that he would basically say that, no, you shouldn't become a seminarian, you should get married. And so just kind of waiting for him to say that, but instead he gave me an application to the seminary. But it kind of hit me after my second year that this is the happiest I've ever been in my entire life.